But coming back here, I haven't been here in 30 years.
Wow. How are you, man? Welcome. Welcome.
Curtis.
I'm Curtis. It's great to meet
Hey,
you.
Curtis, how you doing?
What's it like, man?
Wow.
First time since the movie?
Yeah. First time since Karate Kid 3.
Okay. So all three came back to the same spot?
Yeah, same spot. In fact, what I remember right now, because I'm looking right there, right in that corner, my parents were here for Karate Kid 3, but I remember they posed with Ralph and Pat Morita, right in that corner. And then I made an 8x10 for them, and I wrote the stars of Karate, like, you know, Columbia does in the bottom of the production shot, and I wrote, Columbia presents Francis and Teddy Cove starring in Karate Kid 3 with Pat Morita and Ralph Macchio. And I made these up, you know, and I sent it to them and sent it to Ralph and Pat also. But yeah, that corner and in this place right here, used to be a curtain here. Okay. A curtain, and I would keep my thermos there because in Karate Kid 1 I was so sick, all the barking up and down the you know, Mercies for the Weak, and you know, and an enemy over the lines, someone confronts you, he's your enemy, an enemy deserves no mercy. Right. And I'm walking up and down the aisles, and then I get to Billy Zabka over there, and I said, oh, what is the problem, Mr. Lawrence?
An enemy deserves no mercy. What is the problem, Mr. Lawrence?
You know?
Yeah. Yes,
all that just beat me up because I was sick. I had 102 fever.
Oh my gosh.
So all that up and down, I would have to go behind this curtain and chug-a-lug a hot tea thermos, and I would go through a lot of it all day long because that sequence in the beginning of Karate Kid 1 was all here, and it was several days in a row. So it was grueling. After a few days, the chest condition went away. But it's really fascinating to push yourself to that level, like Gene Kelly did in Singing in the Rain, where he does that, you know, that famous dance in the rain, and he was just as sick, 102, 103. Right. Anything more than 102, you really can't stand up that way. But you know, it's interesting what the human body will take us to when you're charged. You know, and John Kreese was charged. Right. He was charged all the time. And I think it helped. It helped, you know. Because when I first took this gig, I just read John Kreese as just being another heavy. You know, he wasn't really this iconic character that's become, and working in the series is great and all that, but it's kind of, it was different. To me, I had 2 weeks off Cagney and Lacey, and I was going to come and play an act. And nobody had any idea that it would be such an iconic experience. Right. But coming back here, I haven't been here in 30 years.
Wow. Wow.
You know, so
it's a little different.
It is. It's different. And this, I remember this mirror was here because they took away the curtain. And this is where in Karate Kid 3, where we you know, the paint came down on us, and I got a television series, and I couldn't get out of the deal, Hard Time on Planet Earth. Oh, yeah. And my agent at the time said, I'll get you out, I'll get you out. And I knew I had a lot to do in Karate Kid 3. Robert Kamen told me it was my vehicle, and he was a terrific influence on me. And I relied on the agent, and he couldn't get me out. And so they had to bring in for Karate Kid 3 Terry Silver, another, you know, to basically do the evil things that John Kreese was to do in the script. And it was very hard for me, very hard. But he and I got along famously when we worked on weekends, because I could only get out to work on weekends. And this mirror, I remember we got hit against the mirror, this paint falls down, the place was under construction for scenes in the movie, and paint gets us all white, and we're screaming as, you know, Ralph is leaving with Miyagi at that door. You know, it seems a lot longer, but it doesn't seem as wide.
Right. We were saying the same thing.
You know, and that's the lenses. That's all the lenses, because the lenses change your interpretation. But like when we go back to our high school, when you go back to public school, everything seems so much more. The basket we take shots at, you know, it seems like it's right here.
Yep.
You know, and
the perspective all shifts.
But this is, you know, this is how it was.
Yep.
I mean, you know, and that obviously was my office. So there was a wall.
Yep.
There, just like that curtain, which wasn't there for Karate Kid 3, but it was there for 1 and 2. And here was my office. And the beginning of Karate Kid 3, I'd come in and go through my bills and whatever. I remember this, you know, and yeah, and here's where I think we did that scene with Miyagi, you know. I think it was, but you don't show. Yeah, there had to be a wall here.
Yeah, this was the office, right?
There had to be a wall. The office was here, because here was the All Valley poster.
Yep.
On the wall.
Yep.
And, you know, I do, you don't show, it's open season on him.
But you don't show.
And it's open season. On him.
And you know, it was just kind of fun.
It's like, I'm getting chills seeing this stuff.
And that's the picture they use, a production shot they use of me pointing on, you know. But that took place here, and I remember John Avildsen, you know, liking that. But I like that, because that wasn't in the script. And you know, he was a big fan of John Kreese being a very dark character, never having a twinkle.
Right.
Just stoic.
No break.
No break.
Always bad.
And now I was doing the series in Atlanta. I got all 3 shows to look at all 3 and what my body language was like. Well, you know, how much of this I was doing, how much of this I was doing, how much of this. Because our writers, who are brilliant, they love all that body language. And they want you to duplicate it for the series. So I would look at it. And I also saw at the same time that this guy, this character I created, that it just was organic. He never smiled. He didn't smile when his students won. He didn't smile when his students lost. You know, he wasn't happy, you could tell by his body language, but it was always dark.
Always dark.
Always ice. And no wonder so many people love to hate him and hate to love him.
Yeah.
Because he was unpredictable.
Yeah.
Hey, boy, it's gonna be, I'm not gonna be there. So just forget about it, all right?
You didn't know whether he was going to just eat the child walking on the street or offer the kid a little lollipop. You know, you don't know. You don't really know. And thank God in the series he's got texture. Can't really talk about much on the series because it airs shortly, but he's, you know, regular on the show, and when he showed up in episode 10, season 1, he walks across with the cigar and says, "The real story's only just begun."
It's a great rap, great teaser, like cliffhanger.
That the real story's only just begun. Well, it continues right from there, and
great.
It's really exciting. And the writers, you know, John Horowitz and Hayden Schlotzberg and Josh Heald, they know every move that we made here. These people can recite to you. It's like talking to Quentin Tarantino. You know, he knows everything about. I just finished this movie with him.
Oh wow!
He knows everything about your career. He knows what you did in 3 decades ago.
Wow!
And that's how much our writers and our executive producers know about this world. It's amazing that people. I know westerns, but I could not sort of refine someone's performance based on something they did before. And these people can. You go to them with backstories and what you want to do in the character and how Cobra Kai got its name, all the things you've created. They're miles ahead of you.
Right.
And it's all because of this.
Yeah,
you know?
it's helpful too.
It's very helpful. I mean, let's see, along here, I remember coming right, here we go. So here was where, I have a lot of photographs. Here was where we had the fighting, the preparation, and they would have the red flags.
Yeah.
There wasn't flags, actually, it was just a red ribbon.
Yeah.
And I would, and I would be on that side, actually go,
Yeah.
fight!
Yeah.
Or whatever the key. Key was Eitz, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they would come in and they'd stand up, sit down, and this was the square.
Were these guys afraid of you, like in real life? Like, were you kind of emitting that vibe to the actors that were kind of like, this guy's a real deal? Like,
Well, Robert Kamen, who wrote it, who's a genius, he had a Marine sergeant, a sensei, that was tougher and crazier than John Kreese. It's hard to believe. It's hard to imagine. But he used to tell that story all the time. And, interesting question because, we were separated. John Avildsen kept us separated so that I was separated pretty much from my Cobra Kai. No social, we didn't get together, we didn't talk. We kind of stayed away from each other because there was a level of respect. He didn't want me becoming too friendly with anybody.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And Miyagi certainly stayed with Ralph, and they were trained separately. So Miyagi was trained with Ralph. Pat Johnson, who was our stunt coordinator, was brilliant, who played the referee at the end. He trained the Cobra Kai by themselves, and then he trained me by myself. And I originally had only one action sequence, which ended up being the beginning of Karate Kid 2, when I had the fight with Miyagi. Because they decided while we were waiting to do the scene outside the parking lot and to do the spinning crescent kick and go through the window and all, they cut it. And so 3 years later, we went back to the same parking lot and we did it. But we were all trained separately to keep the mystique going, And it was great. It just was really interesting. And who ever expected it to be the iconic gift that keeps giving?
Oh my gosh.
To do these, this television series, which is, it's just amazing because there's so many fans and there's so many generations.
Yes.
I mean, they should have. They could have a great fundraiser in this place.
Yeah, you could do 100 things.
You
in
do a
here.
fundraiser right here for the motion picture home, right in here, and just have sort of Karate Kid memorabilia.
Absolutely.
I mean, at home I have my big gray, full body stand.
Yeah, the cutout. Yeah.
Yeah, the cutout. I gave the colored one to a director I worked for, but the other one that stood here, I think it was this way.
Yeah.
I think it was like that. And I have it, and I look at it. In fact, my son and I moved it. My son Jesse's,
Yeah.
he's just my left and right arm.
Yeah, right. That's great.
We moved it just yesterday, so it's kind of funny. If I knew you guys were going to be here, before yesterday, I would have just brought it with me.
What's it been like for you and Ralph to be hanging out again? I'm sure you're doing press tours. Like, is it just like old times? Like, I mean, you guys kind of had a pretty collective years of being together, and then a break, and now you're back together.
Well, I can't give you too much information, but
or just you.
When
personally.
we acted together, it's a fact. It's been in the promo, so I can talk about it. It was in the promo. We're in front of a 7-Eleven, sort of in front of the dojo, actually, and he sees us together. He sees Billy and I together, and it was the first time we had acted together in 35 years. 3 of us together.
Wow.
And it cooked.
Yeah.
It cooked. It was really
That's
good.
really good.
And I have some, I think it's in the promo. I say, gang's all back together, except one guy. And then there's a pause, and then I say, my regards to Mr. Miyagi. I mean, he's just so dark, He's just so dark, But it's just great stuff.
Yeah,
it's just great stuff. And yes,
is.
we do have a good time acting. We are very close. You do autograph shows together, and it's just, Billy is brilliant in the show, and so is Ralph.
Yeah.
And yet now it's about Billy and about his character and how Ralph deals with the rivalry at the same time being someone who in life is, successful. His character is so totally the antithesis of Billy's. So it's all, it's all fascinating. You know, and what's most fascinating is that our writers are so astute. You know, I've done 5 TV series, and you never get 3 40-year-olds who are as excited about working with you as a new actor, as I would be working with Anthony Hopkins. You know, and when I worked with Anthony Hopkins, I almost couldn't remember him. I thank God it was an improvisation I did.
Yeah.
But, you know, you get they're just the best because they do research and have their imaginations, and you come with them with ideas, they're miles ahead of you. They've thought about the same thing you've thought about. Why was Kreese such a bully? Was he a bully in real life years ago? Or was he bullied? And what happened to him to create the no mercy concept? You know, versus mercy is for the, you know, Mr. Miyagi's theory of karate is the defensive art versus John Kreese being the offensive sport.
Strike first.
You know, strike first, strike hard. And so there's a lot of interesting, I bet you if I sat here and I spent the night right there, I think it would open up a whole world of spiritual energy. Because this place was obviously a very powerful place because 35 years later, it's still, you know, it's still bouncing around, you know, the waves of creativity.
You talked about generations, and that's really what we've been trying to do with this show, because not only, I mean, you know, I'm 42 years old, and Karate Kid was a huge point for me growing up, and now my kids get to watch it. So are you encountering, I mean, have you encountered younger people along the way, like just even in passing by, like, oh my gosh, there he is, you know, like hard for you to lose that bad guy around people, or do you play with it a little bit, or do you kind of break it and, hey, I'm a nice guy?
A little bit of all that.
Yeah, right.
You know, because you years ago, and I've told this story before, the only time anybody would come up to me and start a fight, or, you know, really say, "You that tough sensei," you know, I never got that.
Yeah.
You know, my friend Sylvester Stallone, when we did Rambo and all that, he would get challenged by people. And, you know, he said, "Hey, Rocky, you tough? You as tough as it?" And he was damned if he did something or damned if he didn't.
No-win situation.
And it was a no-win situation for him, and I felt sorry for him in that respect. But with my character, since '84, I have never been challenged. Only because I believe people love to hate this guy or hate to love him. And because there's a respect for him. He's not down. You know, he's pure. He's not pure evil. I just think he's pure John Kreese. It's a combination, you know, and his whole backstory of being in Vietnam, and that's where No Mercy came from.
Yeah.
No Mercy, you know, and merciful is for the weak, you know. It's all depicted in the show very well.
Yeah.
So, you know, you see it this season, you get a sense of it. But I've never had a problem of, and with the fans, they're of all generations.
Right.
I remember there was classic summer. They called it Summer Classics in Los Angeles at Balboa Park. And I was standing on the back of a pickup truck. And there was a long line of people. And I'd never been to this, and Billy couldn't do it, and Ralph lives on the East Coast. So I was asked to go. And little kids, 5-year-olds, would walk up and say, held by their parents, and the parents would say, this is the best villain in the movies you'll ever see. And the little boy didn't quite understand that, 5 or 6, but he knew what a villain was.
Right.
And and the kids would come up and say, my daddy said that. My daddy said, you're the best villain I'll ever see. And I would crack up, because here was a little kid who was just about to see the movie on an outdoor screen, and he would have felt that way.
Yeah.
And kids are so much more sophisticated these days. So the movie-going public has changed a great deal. Where, you know, before it was Red River and Westerns in the 50s and 60s and all of that, and, you know, the Wild Bunch and all that great stuff, but it was different. Now the kids are so sophisticated, you really have to be good to entertain them. And Karate Kid means so much to so many people because of the way it was written, that everybody remembers it from the movies, They remember it. They show their kids. Now it's on TV or on cable. They own the DVD. Sony's coming out with a 4K version for the 35th anniversary.
Wow.
And everybody will own that because of the series. And the series is all about, lots about kids, lots about teenagers, a lot of about, parents and the meaning of karate. The meaning of what is the difference between Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do.
Yeah.
And now we're standing in the middle of Cobra Kai.
Right here in the middle of Cobra Kai. Martin, as a super fan, I can't thank you enough for swinging by and spending some time with us. And for all of our fans watching, I know this is going to be kind of a monumental moment to not only be in the dojo, but to have you back here. So I appreciate you doing that. But I would probably be remiss if I didn't have you say to the fans, show no mercy or sweep the leg.
Sure. We're in the right place for me to say to you, sweep the leg.